I can't see you though, Mr. Walker. Hello and welcome to Cognitions, speaking the unspeakable with JP
and Stacy D.
I am JP Craddock. That is the one and only Stacy D Love, and we are broadcasting remotely from KUAW Radio. That is knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Coming up on the show today is our question of the day, which is, what harms a people the most, racism or poverty? If you want to weigh in on this, if you have some ideas on that, you can always call into the show. The number is 816-599-6893, and Mr. Walker will get you on the air. If you ever have a question that you want us to answer or discuss on the show, you can message us through Facebook or email your question to speakingtheunspeakable 0608@gmail.com. That's speaking the unspeakable 0608@gmail.com. And some people out there know what 0608 mean, but we're not going to get into that right now.
Don't get into that.
All right. So we have the question of the day coming up right after mental health and illness in the news. But before we get to all of that, let's do our check-in. Stacy D.
What's going on?
Oh, the day. What's going on, Stacy?
Hey, nothing. Just always being Stacy. Yeah, I do have some stuff that's going on.
Girl, you look good, Stacy D. What's going on? What the hell? What is that? Who you fighting?
I got burnt.
I thought you got into a scrap. I finna say, you too old.
I just
scrapping.
Pull out the Remington now. I pull out the Remington.
What happened? Who burnt you?
It's been about 9 months since I had to get into a scuffle with one of my people. Remember that?
Yes.
Talk about that?
Yes.
But
no.
The girl hit me in the eye.
You never would talk about it. I wasn't bringing it up.
That's for another day, everybody. Because everybody know that I own my own bail bonding company. And I done trick one of my people going to court because I didn't want to, she was nice. And she was there talking with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend said, run.
See?
Because I'm looking at the text. And she's like, I got to use the bathroom. So I was going, well, don't take too long because you're probably next coming up. She goes to the bathroom, and when she comes out, I'm right there. So I grab her arm. I was like, come on, we got to go on up in here. She hits me in my eye.
Because she didn't know who you was.
She was 27 years old.
Word on the streets is that you done got too old to beat anybody down, Stacy D. They don't know. The D is like Badia.
I still had her arm, and she hit me in the eye. I still had that on so she wouldn't go nowhere. And I started beating her. I broke the arm. And the make it so bad, when you go to the jails, that they there to check you in and everything, and they're just basically they're looking. So then the bailiff came out the courtroom because she was hollering. And everyone I don't cuss. But you know how when you beat them good and now I'm stumping her.
Because you do your own bounty hunting.
No, I contract out most of the time. But
But then why? Well, because the bounty hunter, I thought the bounty hunter is the one that does the beat downs.
Yeah, they do. But every once in a while I will coast you into the jail. And if you give me some money, I will let you get back out. But she didn't have any money, so she was going to jail. But she, I was able to talk nice to her and get into jail, and I was going to get off the bond when they called her name. And I guess, she was texting her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's like, run. And she thought I was a nice old woman. But
well, and she assumed because your bounty hunter was not there that she could get away with that.
She thought.
But you used to do your own bounty hunt.
Yeah. When I
You
first
still
started,
know how to handle that business.
when I first started, like what, 16 years ago? 16, 17 years ago when I first started, I used to do my own bounty hunting because I was cheap. And I was like, nah, I ain't giving nobody no money. I'm going to get out here and get them myself. Then after the age, gained a little weight. And I was just like, I got a little bit more money than time. I'm going to go out and give it to my boys. And they love me too. Keith, Austin, all of them. Love y'all.
Those
They
are the
watch
bounty
out.
hunters.
Yeah, they watch out for the D. They watch out good for the D.
They better.
Yep, we all stay in business and make money. Yeah, so um, they arrested her for an assault because she hit me first and it was all on camera. And
She basically caught another case.
yeah, they did. And
Wow.
the city picked it up. Well, the county picked it up. I didn't want to. I already got my just. I already beat her down.
Right.
Yeah, so I was cool. But yeah, and I broke her arm, so I was like really cool. She
You
should
tried to
not
rip
have.
her arm
She's
off and
seen
beat
this
her with it.
200-pound heavyweight. Why you gonna try? 27. But that goes to show that these kids do not know how to fight. 27, JP, was I getting it in then?
You was getting it in way before then.
Yeah, I was.
You was getting it in high school.
Yeah, I was getting it in.
Everybody, me and Stacy D go way back.
Way back.
You've been beating people down for decades. She's been beating people down for decades.
But I'm really a nice person. You got to do something to me. I was never a bully. Never a bully. Never. I don't believe in bullying.
Stacy D, let's skip my check-in and you do another check-in. Who burnt you? Your hair and makeup people?
No. I did. We was 4th of July burn. And I got another little bitty check-in about 4th of July burn too. About 4th of July. 4th of July burn. I'm cooking. This was the last thing. It was my dessert. I was making a pineapple upside down cake. And I thought I had let it cool off enough. Because everyone know pineapple upside down cake, that brown part ain't nothing but brown sugar and butter.
So good.
And and I do the pineapple rings plus crushed pineapple. It's fire. And I was just rushing trying to get him the meat trying to get the meat to King to put on the grill and everything. And we was trying to put our umbrella up on our patio. So it was just a lot going on. I thought I let it cool off enough. And when I went to flip it,
what is it with flipping upside down pineapple upside down cakes? Because when my sister had that gathering at her house for Father's Day, you noticed the pineapple upside down cake was looking funny.
It was good.
Because she went to flip it and it flew across the room or something on the stove. She was flipping on the stove and it flew across. What is it about flipping a pineapple upside down cake?
Because you have to let that doggone thing cool. I think I need to let it cool for maybe an hour. So that brown sugar.
Pineapple upside down cake. When it's time to eat it, it's time to eat it.
Exactly, and everybody was ready to eat some of it, and I was trying to hurry up and rush. Next time, I think I'm gonna cook the pineapple upside down cake first. Usually, I cook the desserts last, but maybe when I do that pineapple upside down cake, I need to cook it first so it can really cool off, so it can be ready when everybody get ready to eat it. But it was good. There's none left.
You flipped it and got caught up with brown sugar
and butter.
Brown sugar and butter get you every time.
And King time out, do we need to go to the emergency room?
Well, because it had to be. I know you screamed.
Yes, I did. And he can't handle it when I'm sick or hurt. He just can't handle it.
Did it ruin the whole day?
No, I went on and put some ice on it and some nails. So I have this sass I put on it and just getting it together.
Okay. Well,
okay, so I have one more thing about the 4th of July.
Oh, what is it?
This goes out to my children.
Uh-oh. What happened?
When they were growing up, my kids truly did pimp me. They pimped me. I remember going to the firecracker stand and spending at least, and we're talking 80s, 90s, not 80s, 90s, beginning 2000s. I dropped at least $500. Like it wasn't nothing. I remember when they started getting older, if I was to add up all the money, because you can start popping firecrackers, June the 27th? I know I spent at least about $1,000.
Wow.
Yes. So
to set something on fire.
Whoosh.
The stands are the problem. You can't get your fireworks from those stands, Stacy. You got to go to the actual.
We was going to Riverside.
Oh, okay. I thought you was at the stand in the parking lot of the grocery store.
And so I'm a hustler. Not to do that. So I'm a hustler. So as soon as they opened up, we would buy bottle rockets and we would sell bottle rockets in the neighborhood. The kids is true hustlers. We had a candy store in the garage. We made Kool-Aid slushies. They were straight hustlers. We was hustling. But
some of this was business.
It was straight business. And I have three of my children are business owners. So start them early. That's what
that
it says.
Entrepreneurial spirit, the seed was planted early, and this is what parents have to do. I totally agree. Okay,
so the bad part. So I have four grandchildren. 3 by my son, 1 by my daughter. My daughter don't want to buy. Really surprised because I don't like fireworks, but my granddaughter, she loves them and she wants the big stuff.
Yeah, kids love fireworks.
Yeah, I don't care for them, but my granddaughter loves them and she loves the big stuff, and she's only 10. So her mother was wanting me to take her to the firecracker stand. You know what that was about, don't
you? Oh yeah, and bring your wallet.
Bring the wallet.
Yeah. Right.
So I didn't do that. And so I didn't do that. My granddaughter didn't get as much stuff as she wanted, but it doesn't matter because all the firecracker smoke makes her go into an asthma attack. So she
she'll need all that mess no way.
She can only pop half her stuff anyway. Okay, so I'm fine with that. But here goes the problem. My oldest son, he's not right. I want everybody to know about this. He's not right. He was the main one. He would call the firecracker stand as soon as they opened. Mama, 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 mama. And me, by being a single parent and a mama, here go the money, go down there and get what you need, son, because he was driving at 14. He has 3 boys. He has corrupted his children so bad, he calls it Theyre Woke.
Oh, they're woke. Okay.
They're woke. No, you're cheap.
Woke is not supposed to apply to these particular situations, but keep rolling with the story. I'm listening.
So from my $1,000 pocketbook, they don't engage in firecrackers.
Really? What do they engage in? What? I don't understand.
He don't spend no money on firecrackers.
He'll spend your money on them though. Right? So what was the problem? Oh, you wasn't willing to spend your money on them.
No.
Now we know.
I think I'm woke.
Yeah, you're the one who's woke. So I was like, what's the problem? Grandma's gonna buy the fireworks. Like, but no.
He done said in my grandson's mind that we don't need to do firecrackers now. We good. They never have.
Really? They've never done fireworks.
Not my grandsons, no.
Oh, this is awful. Oh, it's time to hotline. I guess that can't even be hotline. Stacy D, why didn't you just go get the fireworks for the babies? Never? So
they don't care about no firecrackers, Mama. They woke. They don't care about no firecrackers.
Being woke has to do with like being aware of a racial climate and all. It ain't got nothing to do with not buying them kids their fireworks. Okay.
They don't celebrate all those holidays. That don't mean nothing. No.
Sashi is 2 and she had fireworks. Nothing that can be set on fire. Them snapper things, you throw them things and that's it.
My son is cheap, but he would spend all of my money.
$1,000.
Brandon.
He's wrong.
You're cheap.
Brandon,
they don't even care about them. They don't.
Brandon, you're wrong for that. The kids have got to have their fireworks. And if he grew up with $500 to $1,000 worth of fireworks, this is neglect.
Oh, I'm gonna do one more for you.
It gets worse.
It gets worse. What's for me? You remember when the Jordans was out real big?
Yes.
The man at Foot Locker would feel sorry for me because we had to stand in those lines and stuff. That he wouldn't let me stand in line because he's know I'm coming to buy 4 to 5 pairs of Jordans every time they came out.
Which is crazy.
But this is what my children want. They brought me good grades. Your job is to bring me good grades and keep my house clean. They did a great job with that.
Okay.
So, but now Jordans come out like every 6 weeks. But back then it was like every quarter. So the man knew me. I'm gonna go way back at Mission Mall.
Oh, that's way back. Because that's all grassland right now.
Yes. The manager at Foot Locker at Mission Mall knew me. And he would set my shoes to the side because he know I'm coming. And he liked my last name. He liked me so well that he hired two of my children to work there.
Oh, that's good.
They were managers. They went to college and was able to work at Foot Locker, because that's everywhere. But guess what? My grandsons don't wear.
Oh, because they woke. So they're not spending a fortune for a pair of shoes that probably cost $2 to make in a sweatshop.
They woke. They don't.
He's actually right about that, but it is shady. I totally agree with not paying hundreds of dollars for shoes that some 10-year-old made in a sweatshop for $2. But it's interesting that he's woke when when it's his wallet.
It's his money. He's woke. Mama, I can go to Nike outlet and buy them 4 pairs of shoes. Glad you're woke.
You know the way to handle this is to tell your grandkids what his childhood was like. See, and then they'll be able to come back to him and be like, come on, Daddy. Come on. You had fireworks and Jordans. We got to get one or the other.
One or the other.
Oh, my goodness.
But they go to school in the Shawnee Mission School District. That's not really a big thing. My children were USD 500, and it's probably still a big thing. But Shawnee Mission School District, they were in Skechers.
Rich people do not waste money on that crap. That's why they're rich, because their money is redirected to more responsible and economically feasible
in the future
ventures.
Getting more wealthy.
But you go to a high school in the hood, and every kid got their Jordans on, wearing them straight home to the projects. Yes. Straight home to the projects, but they got their Jordans.
But we all right. That was funny. He's woke.
Yeah, he's woke. Bless his heart. Okay, mental health and illness in the news.
What we got going on, JP?
Okay, Shikari Richardson.
Who is that?
Shikari Richardson is a runner, a very fast runner.
Oh, okay, now know. Yes, I was mad about that. I was mad about that.
Yes, she is perhaps she's the fastest runner to be timed in the last 5 years in the US. She has been banned from competing in the Olympics in Tokyo, which has become a COVID cesspool. So really she's safe for not going. That's a whole nother story. They're having COVID problems in Tokyo because everybody's coming in for the Olympics, and only 15% of the population there is even vaccinated. So she gonna outlive a lot of people by not going, but she's been banned because she failed the drug test. She tested positive for THC. She's been smoking bud. She's been high. She's been real high. And
not heroin, not crack or cocaine.
No, not heroin or crack. Marijuana. Now,
not even an enhancement drug. I could see it if it was an enhancement drug.
Well, technically, they are saying that it is banned because it is a performance enhancement drug. Now, here's something to think about. One, and we have talked about this on the show before, THC is classified as a depressant because it depresses the central nervous system, and which is the reason why high people be so calm. They be real calm because they central nervous system.
Tell me to get high all the time. I was like, nah, I can't do that. We don't know how that would react because I'm a crying drunk. Wait a minute, I'm a crying drunk, and then I get violent, beat everybody up in the club. Remember?
They was trying to calm you down though. It depresses the central nervous system.
I used to be scared up in the club. It'd be a birthday. They give me little bitty drinks. I'm not even drinking nothing.
You just gonna go to sleep.
Please ignore Ashton, our friend. Please ignore. Come on, let's go, Stacy. Let's go. I'll be ready.
Let me tell you.
Jump on my show.
Stacy D, they're trying to calm you. And so a substance that is classified as a depressant because it depresses the central nervous system calms a person. And it's also classified, as I've said before, as a hallucinogen, which is the reason why sometimes people get high and they get all paranoid. And so when you think about it, I'm trying to figure out how in the hell she's guilty of performance enhancement. I could see if it was a stimulant. Now, if she was messing around with some, cocaine, yes, and then she would end up running faster because she's on a stimulant. The only thing that was going to happen to this woman,
she was going to eat up some stuff. She might sit down the racetrack and be like, "Bye, y'all."
Yes.
Can y'all help me up?
If this woman would have read races high, she was going to be running slow and accusing the other runners of talking on her. Hence the paranoia. So I'm like, this is not a performance enhancement. Enhancement, depressant. Enhance, depressant.
They do not go hand in hand.
No. Now, here is the thing, though. Something to think about. because even though I'm saying, okay, this woman, this is not a performance enhancement drug. Like, the last thing she should be doing is smoking weed before a race. Hopefully she was not going to be doing that. At the same time, the rule is the rule. If they were not willing to be flexible on this rule for Michael Phelps, the king of the Olympics, what made her think she was going to be able to smoke a fat one and get away with it? Because they didn't let Michael Phelps smoke fat ones and get away with it.
In some states, it is legal.
Well, I believe she was smoking it in a state that's legal, but just like, well, alcohol is legal too. You don't get to show up to work tipsy. When you are a runner, that is a job. That's her job. They get endorsements. They get all of these different things. And their rule is you are not abusing substances while you are running. And so
who said she's abusing it? You know, she was in a
or using
then her mom just
abusing.
died, and maybe that was not the best coping mechanism, but maybe that was her, you know, her coping mechanism.
Well,
you know, this is a time when JP and Stacy D is going to disagree.
Well, of course, because we're going to disagree on most of these things.
Guess what? I don't even get high, but still.
I do not get high either.
No, neither one of us.
Now, I'm not saying it from a perspective of being...
He does love to sip.
Yes, I'm not saying it from a perspective of being judgmental, because alcohol is a depressant. And let me tell you, back in the day, me and my frat brothers, we engaged in a whole lot of that depressant back in the day.
That alpha juice.
My point is, alpha punch. My point is, it's a rule. And I ain't ever showed up on a job filled with the depressant, which is alcohol. Because when it's time to handle business, you handle your business. And so I don't agree.
Did you ever have like a hangover?
Probably. Mm-hmm. Probably.
But the thing about it is that THC stays in your system, I think, like 60 days.
No, 30.
30? Okay. I know. How long do alcohol stay in your system?
But she wouldn't be, even though it was in her system, I sincerely doubt that this woman was going to actually be intoxicated.
Exactly.
On THC when she's racing, because it really does. It depresses the central nervous system. Like, you are not running fast or high. You doing good to be running high. Okay. You chilled out and paranoid.
And not to mention, the Olympics don't even start till what? July 26th or something like that?
Well, here's the thing. You know, in preparation for the Olympics, they got a lot going on. And they know that these drug tests are taking place. And so, yes, it does stay in the system for 30 days, clearly. And she said that she was using it to cope with a loss. Someone had passed away. Everybody knows that it stays in the system for 30 days. If you are a runner and you have that much on the line, you are wanting to compete in the Olympics, you are the fastest person in America to be timed in the past 5 years. It was a little reckless to be getting high, and they doing these random drug tests. So I don't agree that it's a performance enhancer. I think the real reason why they said she couldn't be on the team is because they were scared that she would end up smoking it and her central nervous system would be depressed and she would not perform as well because of the THC. But I do not know. I am not them. It's not a performance enhancer, but it is a rule. And I still feel like if she knew that they were not willing to be flexible with this rule for Michael Phelps, who has more Olympic medals than any other human, they was not going to be flexible on the rule for her. And so whether it's alcohol, whether it's marijuana, whether you do crack, meth, whatever the case may be, if you are an athlete and your legacy is on the line, your reputation, your money,
And how old is she? And how old is she?
Old enough to know that she shouldn't have been smoking weed.
How old is she though?
I have no idea. Old enough to know she shouldn't have been smoking weed if she's preparing for the Olympics.
I don't think she's 25.
She might not be 25, but hell, Stacy D, a 16-year-old would understand this.
You know, that I think that generation sometimes just don't get it. I just really think they just don't get it.
I'm sure this is an intelligent enough young lady. She gets it. It's not that complicated.
Is that she's not going to miss the whole Olympics. She'd be able to, what did I read? She'll be able to get on the last end of, I think, one of her races. So I think she's racing like 3 or 4 different races. So she'll be able to hit one race and still do pretty well.
Okay. I didn't come across that.
Yeah, she's not all the way out. It's for a certain amount of days after they do the test, and she's suspended for 30 days. So her suspension will end, and she'll be able to hit some of her relays, a couple of her relays.
Okay, so she's gonna be all right.
That's the silver lining in the story, most definitely, because I hate to see her miss her big chance.
It's definitely a lesson to be learned.
Oh, most definitely. Okay. No, that was a lesson bought, because she's going to lose out on a lot of endorsements behind this.
Yes.
She bought that lesson.
Okay. I usually do not cover local stories because a lot of our listeners are not even in this area, but this is ridiculous, and so I'm going to have to cover a KC story. Oh. A shooting victim was dropped off in front of the Kansas City Health Department yesterday. Now, here's the thing. The health department is located on 24th and Truist. Research Hospital is located on 23rd and Meyer. 3 minutes away from the health department. And so, I'm not trying to give lessons in heroism, but if you hanging out with your boys and one of them gets mad and decides to shoot the other one, go ahead and drive the extra 3 minutes to drop your boy off at the actual hospital. The health department is not ready for that. Yes, they have some doctors and nurses at the health department, but they are not a trauma ER. You don't just go dropping off your shot up homies at the health department. Them people unless he has an STD, why is he here on our stoop? Why is he? What? Come back and get. That is crazy. You don't drop your shot up homeboy on the front step of the health department, and the hospital is 3 minutes away. I didn't understand that. That's ridiculous. Literally. Okay. Next story. In Maryland, every person who has died of COVID in June was an unvaccinated person. So that's just something to note about, get the vaccine, don't get the vaccine. I have a frat brother here, you know him. I won't say on the air, but he had to shut his office down because him and his staff have COVID. They're all vaccinated. They have COVID. Now, of course, with the vaccine, you can end up with COVID and not have any symptoms. So they're all asymptomatic. I believe one person has ended up in the hospital, and I don't know if that person was vaccinated or not, but it's just interesting to note that you can still get it. But as far as people who ended up in the hospital dead in June in Maryland, all of those were unvaccinated people. Okay, here's a real quick, this is not so much a mental health and illness in the news. This is just something interesting. They do this survey every year of America's favorite fast food restaurants. And number one, what do you think number one was, Stacy D?
You want grown Stacy or little Stacy?
Either one. Who do you think was number one?
Grown Stacy is Chick-fil-A. Younger Stacy was McDonald's. I still eat McDonald's. I'm sorry, y'all.
You good, D. Number 1 is Chick-fil-A. Number 2, Domino's. Number 3, KFC. Number 4, Starbucks. Number 5, Five Guys. And everybody's tripping because if you've ever been to Five Guys, they should be number 1. Them people got a burger, the juice be dripping. Them Five Guys is no joke.
And the unlimited French fries.
And
they have Red Robin on there.
No, but guess who came in last? McDonald's came in last. Here's the reason why this story is interesting. For those of you who are considering investing in purchasing a franchise, Chick-fil-A is number 1, McDonald's is last. But the last time I checked, a Chick-fil-A franchise costs about $10,000. And a McDonald's franchise, you paying upwards of like $1 million. And so for those of you who are thinking about investing in a franchise, maybe in retirement, you want some loot coming in, you might want to buy a Chick-fil-A. They number 1, and it is one of the least expensive franchises to own. So
I actually have a soror who owns a Chick-fil-A, and she was telling me, I was like, girl, I love that lemonade. And she's like, yes, everybody love it. And we don't make any money on it because it costs so much to make that they don't make any money on the lemonade.
She is making money off that franchise. Now, here's the other part.
She's making money on the franchise, but she's not making no money on the lemonade.
Yeah. Now, even though Chick-fil-A is one of the least expensive franchises to own, I think they do pay a higher percentage to the corporate office.
And they're closed on Sundays.
That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. That's a good thing.
Because they gonna make you respect the Lord. You're gonna respect the Lord if you buy a Chick-fil-A. I told Nadine we're buying a Chick-fil-A. I've been telling her for years, like, can we buy a Chick-fil-A? I have never had Chick-fil-A. I've never eaten there. I know she loves it. She said they got some good food. I'm scared to eat there because she talked about the food being so good. I know they deep frying that bird up in there, okay? And I'm trying to stay away from deep fried bird. I want a Chick-fil-A. Okay. All right.
They have a great salad. Their salad helps me to remember about Houston salad.
Ooh, that good? Is the chicken great there? I mean, they're number 1. Obviously it is.
Yes. Yes. To me, I enjoys it. I enjoys it. And believe it or not, it's actually more healthier than all the rest of them. Like my granddaughter, she will not eat McDonald's because, you know, kids with tablets and iPhones, she's seen a hat and was like, oh, Lord, I never put that in my body.
Yeah. Yeah.
She will not eat McDonald's.
Yeah. I do not eat McDonald's either, except the breakfast. I will tear up their pants. But the meat, well, we on the air. I can't go into all that because we ain't trying to have no legal problems.
Yes.
Okay. Chick-fil-A is.
Didn't say nothing.
Mr. Walker. Now, Mr. Walker should have been throwing up a sign to stop me, though, because I was about to say something.
The thoughts and views of what's going on.
All Mr. Walker wants us to say is that the views of JP and Stacy D are not the views of KUAW Radio. So the attorneys who work for McDonald's do not try to sue the radio station.
Don't come.
All right, let's get to the question of the day, Stacy D.
Let's do it, JP.
What harms a people the most, racism or poverty? Stacy D, what are your thoughts?
No. I don't know, JP.
This is going to be a little surprising to people probably. I feel like poverty does the most damage to all people of any race. Poverty does more damage to minorities, especially than racism. And here's the reason why I think that, because racism incidents and actual experiences with racism can be sporadic. Poverty is consistent. It's from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed and all during your sleep. Now,
and it can be a generational curse.
Yes. Racism is the incidents and the encounters and the experiences can be sporadic. Now, yes, there is an underlying factor and component of racism that is consistent when you get into systemic racism and, you know, hiring practices and all of those different things, which is directly related to poverty. But I feel like poverty is more detrimental. If someone asked me, JP, we're going to give you two options. We can give you about $10 million, but you are going to experience racism. Or we can create a world where you experience no racism, but you are going to live in poverty. I'm like, give me the money and the racism. Here's the reason. Yes, because I feel like wealth directly affects the extent to which a person experiences the gravity of racism. And here's why I say that. Let's take Oprah, for example. I'm not going to say Oprah does not experience racism, but
yes, she has even spoke on it though before.
Yes. The difference, though, between how Oprah experiences racism and how a family living in the projects experiences racism is that Oprah is able to live in a gated community where the KKK can't show up on her lawn and burn crosses. They can't get to Harpo, right? But if you are living in the projects, living in a poor community, homeless, you are going to be easily accessible to the racists. A restaurant can discriminate against Oprah, and Oprah can buy the whole restaurant, fire the racists, hire new ones, and sell the restaurant at a profit.
And put it on and let everybody know.
But if you are living in poverty and you go into a restaurant and you experience racism, you are just experiencing racism. And so I thought a lot about this, and I know that this is going to be a little controversial and people are going to disagree, but I feel like this. Ask people who are living in poverty how they feel. Do they feel that their lives are more impacted by the circumstances of poverty or racism? And I'm pretty sure I'd be willing to bet on it that most of them would be like, the poverty, the psychological damage from poverty and living in poverty is so extensive. It permeates on every single level of a person's functioning. Not that racism does not affect people psychologically and emotionally, because it does. But poverty is a beast to all humans experiencing it. So, what do you think, Stacy D? Poverty or racism?
Both of them are a beast. I believe, like I said earlier, if you don't know no better, you will continue to have a generational curse. I believe that knowing and educating yourself, you can get up out of poverty. I truly, truly believe that. I truly believe that. It's so many different, because I'm a true social worker.
Ride or die social worker.
Yeah, you straight therapist. I'm not even gonna call you.
I am.
You straight therapist. It is just so many different support systems. There's so many resources out there that if you don't want to be in poverty, you can bring yourself up. I mean, truly, you could really, truly bring yourself up from it if that's what you want to do. Some people love just being in it and basking in it. And I mean,
love being in poverty?
Yes. I know.
Stacy D.
Yes. They don't know no other way. No, JP.
They don't love poverty.
They don't know no other way. So they don't get themselves together to do no better. Seriously.
Stacy D. You know you about to cross over and to pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Bootstraps. I believe in that. Sorry.
Oh, Lord mercy. Mr. Walker.
Okay, listen. Case in point. I had 4 children before I was 20. In most people's book, they would say, oh, she's going to be on welfare the rest of her life. She ain't going to do nothing. Her kids everybody going to be on welfare. They're going to be selling drugs. And
now here's something to think about, though. Let's take a look at your upbringing, Stacy D, because when it comes to poverty, multi-generational poverty, that's a whole different story. If you did not come from multi-generational poverty, that quite possibly played a role in how you were able to have 4 kids before the age of 20 and still end up with bachelor's degree, master's degree, all this higher education. Stacy D, do you come from poor folks?
I thought I was rich, but
you did not come from poor folks, Stacy D. That's why you was able to have all those kids at an early age and still rise above the poverty.
Okay, but I mean, if this can help someone, I'm gonna give it out there. I was raised by great-grandparents who could not read or write. That I thought I was rich. I went to private schools. I was their great-grandchild. Then guess what? They died.
Okay.
And then I had my mom, God rest her soul, love her to death, beat anybody up that says anything about my mama. I don't play those mama jokes. Mama had to get herself together. Even though she was an RN, Mom loved to kick it.
An RN, Stacy D. This is the reason why you were able to have 4 kids before the age of 20. This is not pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. I know RNs who make 6 figures a year. There are no broke nurses. Nurses are not broke, Stacy.
Listen, my mom was, because she kicked it. She would get apartments and homes and wouldn't pay her rent because she's kicking it. She didn't have no worries.
You know why she was able to kick it? Because she was making RN money.
And she wasn't paying our bills. So guess where we had to go when my grandparents died? To the projects.
But Stacy D, that is by choice. That is due to life choices. Here's the reason why I don't agree with this whole everybody has the opportunity to overcome poverty and folks need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. You are not a good example of this because you come from educated people.
Okay, we're gonna go back to someone else, okay?
Okay, hold on. Let me explain though.
We only have 9 minutes and you know you long-winded.
Stacy D, you presented your case about how people can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I'm gonna explain why I disagree. Because there are people living in urban areas, attending schools where they are not being provided with an education, going all the way through school without making it past a 3rd grade reading level. I'm speaking about actual people who I've treated in therapy. To pass the GED requires at least a 7th grade reading level. Those young people who are exiting high schools, They live in poverty. Their parents were in poverty. Their grandparents were in poverty. Nobody had a nursing degree making those six figures, okay? They enter into the world unable to read well enough to be able to go get the bachelor's degree that Stacy D got or the master's degree that Stacy D got. And so that's how the poverty becomes multi-generational. It is not true that every person who lives in poverty has the option of pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. Now, Stacy D, what?
Okay. Now, I did have a family like that. What was I doing? Family preservation. Family preservation. Mom, everybody has always lived in the projects. She did not believe in working. Her mom did not work. She had 5 children. I went in there, was able to build on their strengths. And 2 of the children even have higher education because I was able to show them different things on how they can work the system, get what they need, was able to get mom into a program that she could get some rest. You know, the kids was in daycare and she could go get her GED. She got her GED. And mind you, she was a crackhead. She got her GED.
Who could read well enough to pass that GED test?
Well, it took her about a year, but she got her GED. And I still keep up with that family because I like them. I used to send the kids money in college. And like I said, I have 4 kids, 2 have higher education. 1 is dead and 1's in prison, 50%. But mom is actually running the dietitian center, the dietitian part of it at research.
But they had you. Now, how many carbon copies of you are there? Is there enough Stacy D's to cover every family that lives in the projects?
They should have put them in family preservation or separated families. I worked on all those. But
most of the people living in poverty have never even heard of family preservation. So what about those people? Because what I'm saying is that, yes, minorities or the majority, everyone who lives in poverty, not everyone, many people may have some avenues, some resources to rise above that. But that whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps, it has to deal.
If you want more, you're going to find a way how to get more legally.
I'm finna say now you're going to have everybody in prison because oftentimes when they resort to an illegal means of trying to rise above their social economic status, it's because they do not have a Stacy D. They don't have the ability to read.
But they might have an auntie or a cousin or, someone.
They in the same apartment building in the projects, living down the hall.
I believe that there's always someone that does rise above. As long as they don't forget where they came from.
In every family, Stacy D,
I really do believe that.
We have worked with families who their resources became the mental health center.
Right.
Stacy D showing up, ride or die social worker.
Coming in on Tahoe on some 24s with the beat.
But there are so many families who, because you have to have a mental health diagnosis in order to access the resource of the community mental health center. And so for all of those families who are living in the urban core, not being educated so that they can read well enough to ever be able to pass a G. I got clients in their 30s, they still trying to get through the GED test because they do not read well enough to pass the test so that they're in a position, you can't even go to trade school if you do not have a GED, if you are not able to read. This is how multi-generational poverty takes place. And the issue of racism plays a role in it, because when you think about the poor quality of education being provided in the urban core, you think about school districts that have gone unaccredited for a decade or so because of their failure to educate. When you think about all of that, you have to question whether or not every person has the option to pull themselves up by they don't have bootstraps to pull up.
Well, they better pull up their tennis shoe strings. Because guess what? Even if you did live in the projects, you could get a racial balance transfer and give your child a better education in the suburbs. And there were also communities.
How are they gonna get them there though? Because they are required.
No, they're required in the school district. Yes.
Yes.
Because they understand that, and they have to have a certain amount of, kids.
Okay, let's take one of the school districts.
We have 2 minutes.
I'm not going to say any names. That school district was unaccredited forever. Those parents did not have the option of sending their kids to another school outside of the district.
Yes, they could go to charter schools.
They did have the option of going to charter schools, but if you've been in a regular school, unable to read, and then you showing up at the charter school reading on a 3rd grade reading level, that's a problem. All right, Stacy D.
Then you need to get then you need to get an IEP.
Yes. The problem with some of the IEPs is they still don't teach them how to read. I have had therapy clients that I had to teach them how to read because every year at the IEP meeting, the reading level was on the same level and was not moving up. Ask our dear friend Terry Mason, who taught one of her foster kids how to read, because the school system was failing him. I had to pro bono spend time teaching him how to read. I was sick of going to these IEP meetings and his reading level was still on the 3rd grade level. It was ridiculous.
And there it is. Remember when we talked way in the beginning, when speaking Unspeakable with JP and Stacy D, when we was talking about the core family? Why come the core family couldn't be at the kitchen table and we all reading and doing?
Because none of them could read either.
Well, we all gonna learn how to read together.
Mom could read, daddy couldn't read, grandma couldn't read, grandpa couldn't read.
My great-grandmother and my great-grandfather couldn't read, and guess who couldn't watch TV? Me. I had to read books because they did not want me to be like them. And I had the right. See, they didn't have the right to learn how to read because they was born in the 1800s. And that's what we need to understand, is that we have more rights than our ancestors did. They fought for that. And we need to grasp that and love that. And that will get you out of poverty. Hey, if you can't, you want to read. And the mothers with the IEPs, instead of saying, okay, and sign the paper and getting a check. See, now you're getting me mad and getting a check from Social Security. You need to be like, hold on. What's that mean? Explain
Stacy
that
D.
to me. What?
I need you to wrap this up. On that note, we are good for today.
Miss Dorkin, let me put no thumb up to me. You don't put the thumb up when it's time to get started.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Please remember.
Good show. Get me started. Learn how to read. Ask. Don't just sign your name. About your child.
Although Stacy D believes that everybody has bootstraps to pull themselves up.
Or their shoestrings.
And shoestrings. That is our show for today. Thank you for joining us. Remember, worry about nothing.
And pray about everything. Pray about learning how to read.
We're going to continue this, Stacy D, because I ain't through with you.
And I'm not done either. Let's get down.
Mr. Walker, take us out of here.
Rumble in the jungle.